Hello everyone, my review of course of Academia, episode 25, season 4, the final burning episode, the epic flash fire of the last episode, right? And our used flash fires a lot, yeah. So very, very burning episode, definitely. Massively on fire, right? Really good episode, of course. And our fighting high end, showing off his true skills, showing us some backstory, a little bit about his mom, his wife, the shot of mom, giving us a little bit of the Hawk's backstory, which I really liked. Lots of stuff happening, and a little bit of the other siblings and so on. So it has a lot of moments there. I think especially I'll start talking about this stuff. I'll start talking about the mom. Okay, so we see her with this flower, right? And she mentioned that this is her favorite flower, and she only said it once. She only mentioned one single time in her life, apparently, to Endower, that this is her favorite flower. And that was when they met the first time, 20 years ago, whatever. Right? I mean, her oldest son, the Natsu's oldest, right? I think so, at least. Natsu's oldest, yeah. And he's in college, so he's at least 18, at least, right? Yeah. So they met 19, 20 years ago, right? And she was like, "Oh, this is my favorite flower," and he remembers. So there's a lot of obviously the redemption of Endower, yeah. And I mean, in several aspects, right? In several aspects, not only is she, as Natsu says, then as her son says, that why are you protecting him? Stop protecting him, mom. He's evil, yeah. And it both is her still caring about her husband in many aspects, but also that she kind of explains that, oh, he actually does care about me. Right? He does remember my favorite flower. He does remember to visit me. He actually comes here all the time, but I don't let see him. So it's a lot of depth into that storyline there, which I really like that, because there's one thing then that her son then, and I think Shota has the same ID. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but he also doesn't think that Endower ever visit mom. He's like, oh, he never comes in, mom. He doesn't care about you. Yeah, I think he has the same ID, right, as his brother has, but mom is like, no, he comes all the time and gives me these flowers and he gives me presents and whatever. Yeah, she's kind of implying that he comes here a lot actually. It's just that the doctors, don't let me see them. Yeah, and she's like, I'm afraid of him. So of course, the backstory is all right. So she's like, I don't want to see him. Maybe I want to see him. She's like, I'm afraid. Maybe I do want to see him though. So a little slightly implied that she's unsure, but at least she says that the doctor don't allow me to see him, right? So maybe they would have seen each other otherwise, right? If the doctors would allow it, right? So that's one thing there, that she maybe does wanna be together with him again, maybe. But at least even if she doesn't, the episode at least implies that he does like her, care about her. I mean, clearly he comes to her. It might be guilt, right? But he comes to her, commonly to visit her, give her flowers and so on. But it's never allowed to go in there. But what she says is kind of, I mean, it's a lot of implication, I feel, in this backstory between them, right? But I would say it implies at least he visits her all the time, actually, for all the years, right? But they never saw each other. And of course, then the sons are like, oh, he never goes to mom, they never see each other. It's like, oh, that's wrong. He actually tries to see me, but doctor says no, whatever. So yeah, I think it's interesting. Definitely it's trying to redeem Endower in many aspects. Not just that he's not just her feelings for him, potentially, but I mean, at least she seems to be liking him more than it was explained earlier. But also that no matter what, from her aspect of it, he seems to want to be with her, right? Still, so to speak, yeah, and so on. But he can't even meet her yet. So it's a little bit interesting side bit there. And as I mentioned in the reaction, I do really like how the sister is very consistent being the one that's always like, oh, but he's not that bad. Yeah, the sister is always the one that is defending Endower, right? So we see it earlier in season 2 and so on. She's the one, well, she also has the most screen time from the siblings by far, right? But she's the one that talks like Shota, and she's like, oh, Dad isn't that bad. Maybe you can call Dad. He misses you, Yeah, she's always the one trying to be like, maybe you can go to mom. And yeah, she basically she's always the one that is trying to maybe you can visit, buy some letters. Yeah, she's always trying to mend or make them be friends with each other and so on, right? So I really like the scene because we see that from her. towards Shota, Todoroki, right? The family member we're following in school, right? So we think that. I mean, I assumed that she's probably said that generally, but sure, like see it's bad that this is her to him, right? But now I see that with Natsu, the older brother, she's doing the exact same thing. So I like that. It's just about her trying to make Shota be friends with the Dower, so to speak. It's also her trying to make Natsu friends with the Dower. So she's the sister that's like, but we're family, we have to be friends. Yeah, she's that sister, right? She's the older sister, or best Natsu thing, but yeah, she's the sister that's like always trying to be like, come on, we let's yeah. So I think that was good that she's doing it to everyone. Yeah, she's always trying to be the family mender or whatever, right? Yeah, so that was really good, I think. And then of course there are also more scenes with them getting emotional when you see Daddy getting bleeding, and I really like the scene where we see Todoroki looking at the TV and he's scared and so on, right? But it's one scene looks at the TV and he kind of he's like punches like no he's gonna die, right? And he kind of does like typical and when we see that. I love that because we see the flame covering his hand, like and it's like a like a fist of fire, like and it's like, yeah. So I like that. It's like because of course I remember his backstory. He hated his father, right? Refused to use his powers, only used mom's power, right, and so on. And then of course Deku forced him to use fire, and yada yada, right? But yeah, so him like he's like firing because it's like emotional. That was like okay, yeah, that I think was a really nice touch to it. And anyway, I think this episode has a lot of story actually, a lot of story with the of course the Endower family. One thing that's really interesting, I think, which thinking about it's kind of obvious, but has never been said before, but it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense a lot, is that the Endower is like, I'm overheating, right? I need I can't fight too long, my firepower is too strong for myself, my body, so on, yeah. So I think that was a really good point here, because we see him talking about that when he's flying, or floating, I guess, and he's relating them to, this is why I needed, my kids to have the ice power, right? Because not only because fire and ice is a cool combo and a classic elemental combo, but because he's like, if you can cool yourself with ice power, you can not overheat, right? Or maybe you can overheat at a higher degree or whatever. So he's like, that's why my kids is gonna have this double power, because then they can actually use my quirk, my massive fire quirk, without hurting themselves or whatever, right? Yeah. So it's like a good quirk combination, right? So that I think was like an interesting point to it too, because if you look at it from a Dow perspective, let's be as nice as we can to this man here. It kind of makes sense from like not only like a power level that we combine his power, is awesome, but he seems to be struggling with his powers, right? In the sense that he's really strong, but by using his powers, he does get overheated, he gets exhausted, and he hurts himself and so on. So if you want to give him the benefit of the doubt, I guess, at least you could say that. I mean, I think he's caring about his kids. No, but and not in the sense that he's caring about these children being alive. That's what I mean. I mean more like when he was young, maybe he was thinking that. I think I give him a lot of credit now. I feel I give him a lot of credit, but still, it implied to me at least that maybe when he was young, he was like, man, if I get kids, I hope they can, overcome my heating issues. So maybe if I get kids with like an ice girl, my kids can be, less painful quirk. Yeah, that could be a thing. I kind of feel it implied to him that when he was doing the flashback, he was thinking about the children, and he was like, if they won't have the problem I have, and not necessarily. I want to say that flashback from his emotions aren't just necessarily from like a power statement. It's also is that he's like, if they can overcome the struggle of having this quirk, right? In that sense, like my quirk is powerful, but it's not also like it's not always good, right? So I kind of like that. I like that. Of course, it's implied though. I feel that's an issue. I feel it a bit with his backstory. I will say what I didn't like with the backstory is that it feels it's a little bit too much implications. I think it's the same thing in the previous backstory with their family. It's a lot of like, did he abuse her a lot? Was it one? How bad was it? What did she do? Did she do more stuff? Yeah, probably not. Why did he get married in the first place? It's an arranged marriage kind of, right? Power quirk arranged marriage. It's a lot of stuff I wish they actually would flesh out more. And I think that story there I like it, but I feel I like it because in a way I'm probably adding what I think it means. I think he actually wanted to give his children like a less painful quirk, so to speak, a quirk where you get less exhausted and so on. Probably not just from like a power, but also from like a emotional standpoint. Maybe you know what I mean. It's a little bit like I think that what it means. So a lot of that. More thing I liked in the episode though is of course Hawks. You see Hawks' powers. You can get Hawks being the badass number 2 that he is, and his powers are so versatile. We already saw it last week, but Jesus, his powers are crazy. He can like save, I think he said 63 people. Maybe I'm wrong now. I think something. People at the same time, right? He can like send every damn feather away. He can fly. He can make like a sword of the feather. He can do everything. His quirk is real. I think his quirk is a little OP though. Obviously, it's very strong, but I think his quirk is. How do you say it? I have to say, I think his quirk is weirdly powerful, right? Like basically, his quirk is kind of like having telepathy or telekinetic almost more. Not telepathy, because it's mine. Yeah, telekinetic almost. Because his feathers are so versatile, so utility based, and he can like fly. And also like one little feather, they're very powerful too. Yeah, one little feather can carry like one grown-up person, right? So one feather is like enough to lift one person, and then you can send out like 100 feathers and save 100 people at the same time. And they're also like, not only can you send them out, it's like a projectile, I push you away, but they can like lift up one person and then fly them all around. And yeah, so you can simultaneously control every feather perfectly, and it flies around in all directions. Like, that's a pretty high power level. So he is very powerful with his feathers, and it's kind of like almost. I mean, I like him as a character, but I think he's almost a little too powerful for that quirk ability. If it's that quirk ability, they shouldn't be able to just like so freely do everything, right? Might as well give him some kind of other power. But I'm sure he's like the best wing guy ever in in fiction. Yeah, his feathers are so versatile. Because I mean, normally, when you see something like, well, obviously, when I think mainly think about Archangel, right? Yeah, Archangel, of course. So I think about the most when I Warren. Sorry, lost my thought there. Warren, of course, in X-Men. So I think about the most when I think about like a flying guy with wings. But Warren, like you told that very spoiler now. Yeah, but the classic Warren, when he learns to get the better wings, so big. I'm not going to talk too much of X-Men here. But when Warren gets the better wings in the Apocalypse story, he pulled out the balance. He can shoot wings later on, and so spoiler, shoot wings out. But Warren shoot wings when he's like, he's doing like the wing attacks. Those wings flies like projectile, right? They fly like normal projectile. To no one's surprise, really, when he is shooting his wings out, feathers. When he's doing the feather attack from Warren, it's just like. It's like quids flying out, hitting stuff right there. Like typical projectiles, right? Hitting stuff. He can't really control the feathers after he lets his body, right? They just fly out. I actually think he can, actually, some of the... This is one of the animation he actually can make you, like, the wings fly a bit, I think. But anyway, he can't really, like, perfectly lift someone. It's more like, it's like, I impale you with my feather. It's more like that, right? Yeah. So, Hawk is really powerful, of course. And he's very versatile guy. But as he says himself though, his power levels are not very fiery, right? They're not very destructive. Yeah, it's like I can't really become the symbol of peace, because even though I am like awesome and everyone loves me, I'm not really like a powerful guy that actually can defeat the big guys. Which can make it kind of interesting to think about it, because Hawkman, how is he even number 2 in a way? Even though I said his powers are amazing and he's super versatile and like that, on the same time it's like, how did he defeat anyone to get here? I guess this is very popular because he's clearly not physically the strongest quirk anyway. Even though his quirk, again, is very, very versatile, as he says himself, it is not very powerful. It's powerful in how much it can do, but from like a raw power, right? Raw power of hitting someone with like a really powerful attack doesn't really do much. Yeah, it doesn't really do much. It's like you're gonna fight like a normal. And not even this normal, but you have to wonder, and I don't know, but could this guy be like the first normal? The original normal that All Might, of course, defeated in season 1. Deku and so on, that guy right there. Could he defeat that guy? because that guy was like, the anti-All Might, the muscular guy. Yeah, all the nobles has other powers, so he was like a very like physically just a strong man, right? But could Hawks defeat him? Because Hawk has a lot of utility. He's like the utility master Quirk guy, but could he defeat a guy who's like very muscular All Might copy? It's like probably not, right? Because he's like a lot of feathers. This guy's like whatever. Yeah, like he's probably ignored to be like punch. So he should have really, I feel, struggling to defeat any strongest. But anyway, one thing I really like the episode, of course, is that it suddenly goes into that Hawks loves Dower. Sorry, he doesn't like Alma, he likes the Dower. I really liked it. Yeah, I like that moment. We get to this scene here, and Hawks is like, man, Endeavor, you never give up. I love you. Yeah, I think this was great. Suddenly, Hawks is like, let me reveal my true backstory here. I saw you that time when Endeavor was like failing against the. When he was failing against All Might saved everyone, right? And Endeavor, in this, I'll say it, in the depression of Endeavor, but he still never give up. Started like cleaning up and shit, yeah. This scene here, I love this scene here. And we see Endeavor is like, I never give up. I'm gonna do something, yeah. And the Hawk is like, that's my hero. So I really love this scene, yeah. We see my Hawk is like, this is my hero, yeah. The Endeavor redemption. No, but I love it, yeah. Hawk is like, when I was a kid, Hawk is a lot younger, right? A lot younger, number 2, a lot younger. And he saw Endeavor was like, he never gave up. I respect that. I respect Endeavor's, fire. His fiery will, right? Yeah, I will be like him. So actually, Endeavor was Hawks was inspired by Endeavor, right? Everyone's like, oh my, he's actually the biggest fan of Endeavor because we saw the other guy, the nut-looking guy, the pinky guy. Yeah, he's like, Endeavor, I love you. Yeah, we saw that guy. You guys don't understand. He's the best here. Yeah, we saw that guy last week, right? That guy is back. He's like the only one that's cheering for Endeavor. Everyone's just running away. But then we see this backstory with Hawk, like he's actually the biggest Endeavor fan. Yeah, he's the guy that never gave up. He's the guy that always believed in Endeavor. I was like, man, this is actually really nice. That being said, though, I definitely said it last week. I expected last week that it was like, he's probably like an actual Endeavor fan, right? He wants the Endeavor to be number 1. He wants to help it to be number 1 because he's kind of weird and arrogant episode 1 there. That's 1, but the last episode, yeah, 4. But I think he actually really loves Endeavor. Yeah, it's like, yeah, he does. He's the biggest fan. It's like he's been my inspiration. So I think that was really good. Yeah, we get that. The Hawk loves him. So anyway, let's go to the last part of the episode. Of course, the ending. Talk about the reaction. We kind of cover that more in the reaction still, though. It's kind of the same thing here. So yeah, we see Deku, right? He's the first guy. What's this mean? I thought about it a lot in the reactions. I'm about to cover too much here because but 10 minutes in the reaction talking about that word. Quirks. I think it means a few things, right? So Deku sees the first guy, right? The brothers, the one for all for one, and so on. It's like a flashback. I think that means a lot of things. I think it means that Deku can, like, he can like get the other powers from everyone. He can get their skills, he can get their memories probably. And first of all, he's like seeing a flashback, right, from the other ones. So he can probably get their memories and by that extension then get their knowledge, right. So you see in all the animes, in other story, all the animes, where someone is like, oh, I can build a rocket because previous, lineage me was a scientist. So I can do this stuff, right. So I think that's one thing that is, to me, obvious that Deku might unlock, just kind of the knowledge of everyone before him, right, to begin with, or the memories, and then I kind of like, oh, she can do this stuff, I can do this stuff too. Oh, I'm a great chef now, kind of like Shaman King. I can do this stuff now. I can summon like the chef ghost over here. I can do this shit, yeah. So that's one thing, and then we know that the Quirk is getting stronger each time, right? So he can probably get their whatever physical abilities and so on. I think it makes sense if he could be like, oh, All Might's master, she was like really good at this martial art. I can do that too now, yeah. So I think that's probably what Deku is gonna get. I'm guessing he's gonna get everyone's Quirk, to be honest. That feels really stupid, but it's probably what's gonna happen, right? From this backstory, I think that I think that would be my guess, that he's gonna get everyone, as I mentioned, powers. So if if the previous one had like a fire power, and he probably can like, I can summon the fire spirit ghost inside of my body. That would be my guess. Yeah, that he's gonna get like everyone's power probably in the end of the, maybe not next season, but like in the end of the storyline. It just makes sense to me. It's gonna be really OP, but it makes sense to me that you could be like, oh, but I can like, you know, summon my previous ghost, the ghost number 5, and she has like, you know, healing powers. Okay, himself. That feels to me that it's gonna be happening because they're talking to him. This is season 2 talking to him, so they're probably gonna be all like, oh, I can, you know, I can get everyone's powers. Yeah, so I can get people's memories, the flashback, the knowledge. And also probably unlock their powers. And they can probably talk to him, and they're all probably alive inside of him in a way. So if All Might ever truly dies, like dies, then he can probably talk to Deku inside of him like a, you know, a Jedi ghost, right? That can like, summon my All Might, talk into you. Yeah, it's probably. So Deku is probably gonna start unlocking the previous powers or skills and so on of the you know, the earlier Quirk users, right? Probably like again, like, oh yeah, this guy could do this stuff, and it's probably gonna grow from that. That's my guess from this ending credits. Like it's gonna grow from that. Like his first, he's gonna be able to do one thing right. He's first gonna be able to do, I'll say it. Oh, I know how to cook food now because she could do that, and then it's like, oh, she could throw fireballs. I can do that too now. I think it's gonna be like that. And he kind of goes from being able to, you know, how to say it, cope with someone's behavior or personality, and so you can see this image here where he kind of sees everyone. Yeah, so I think he's gonna be, oh, she could do this, he could do this stuff, she can do this stuff. Yeah, that's probably how it's gonna be, right? So he can probably grow from knowing what they know, doing what they do, and so on. It's probably gonna be a stepping stone to get more and more powers or whatever. It's probably super OP in the end, which is a little bit like, oh yeah, maybe not much struggle more for him. So that's kind of like the I think it means that, and it's probably also some more truth about the brothers, right, and the All for One and One for All and so on. Yeah, he's still alive, so it's probably some backstory truth there about that as well, right? But that would be my guess, you know. I've seen it in other animes, as I said, in other, you know, similar media where it's like, oh, I can, you know, summon this ghost, and so on. So I think that's gonna happen. Was thinking, oh yeah, overall, I talk about, yeah, the battle was good. The battle was good. But I mean, I feel we do a review is like, I want to talk about the storylines, right? Yeah, the battle was awesome, of course. The battle was really good. Obviously, the best or the second best battle. This is the overall battle were clearly the 2 best battle seasons. By far, right? It was very fiery. But yeah, a very good battle. But I feel that's kind of different. I feel that is more like a reaction. I feel that's like the reaction video. Yeah, I feel that's more like the reaction. We talk about the fire, yeah, the action, the explosions, the cutting of the building that was cool, and then he blasted the whole building behind him and so on, and the regeneration power. I will say one thing though: High End was smarter and all so on, but I felt his power was mainly really high regen. Yeah, he didn't do much, just not dying. I think that's true to me. He hurt him, but he definitely was more like a bio thing. They just could extend his arms and like not die. He didn't really show like, oh, I can do fire breathing or so. He was like, I have like 2 quirks. I have like, you know, extending my body parts and I can heal constantly, right? He definitely was more like that. But I think that High End though, the point of him a bit was that he was so smart, right? And that was just like, he's very like, you know, he's observing me. He's like, yeah. I think that he probably got smarter, not just from fighting and learning and adapting, but also just generally like his speak was getting better and so on. So I think a point of him, of course, is that he's so strong, and then they're probably building other normus eventually that also get smarter and stronger and so on, right? So they're eventually gonna have normus that are like people, right? Or better, yeah, or maybe even smarter than. Arguably, I guess a normal could be, you know, extending to super intelligence, right? Because they could be like, oh, they're getting past humanity and so on. That of course is very dangerous because we went from the brain dead muscle normus to the normal that could fly and so on. That wasn't very strong, but he could have bars. And now we have the normal that's like he's adapting and learning and so on. And also maybe he's dead yet. High End, right? He can have a burned up corpse, but maybe he can heal that, right? Maybe he can heal that. But anyway, that is the review, guys. See you guys in, I don't know when next is coming out, but a year maybe. I think it's probably like 9 months is my guess. I haven't checked it out, honestly. I haven't checked it out. I would guess it's like a 9-month wait. Maybe 6, but only. Probably 9 months. That's my guess at least. Two or three seasons. to next season. I don't know how many chapters the manga has right now. Honestly, I haven't read it for because I'm blind reacting to it, so to the anime. So I don't know, but I assume that the manga has definitely enough chapters to extend at least one season, right? I don't know, as I said, how many chapters left, but I'm sure they already have like the material to at least one more season. Definitely. But anyway, that's the review. One last thing I want to say here before we go over and just machine stuff. No, but today, what about the reaction to today? Then we have finally Destruction Flag, Otome Villain. I'll sit here again. I love this anime. I see that sort of day anime. I love the manga. I read the source stuff, right? One of my absolute favorite isekais is coming out in about 4 hours from now. I heavily recommend it. I think it's one of the best shows, if not the best show this season. Subscribe. Of course, I'm doing a first impression reaction on to Katarina, Baccarina later. I mean, I really love this stuff. It's like my favorite isekai, almost after like Konosuba and Konosuba is probably my number 2 actually. I love Konosuba, yeah. So this is like my number 3. Definitely the best female main character, I would say. Well, arguably, if is Sato the main character? I guess so in Konosuba. But yeah, I'm amazed. This is gonna be my best girl season though. So I'm really happy for the anime starting. And yeah, Katarina is clearly my waifu, my best girl season. Anyway, see you guys and have a great day.